Good evening. My name is Nwoha, and I'm a student in Business 501. I'm presenting on global region analysis. My presentation is on selected Southern African countries. In particular, I'll present on Kenya, Tanzania, Botswana, and South Africa. So let me start by showing you a picture of the area covered. My presentation outline is as follows. It follows basically what we have in the syllabus: general description of the region, economic environment, cultural environment, political legal environment, financial environment, nature of infrastructure, specific marketing information, and relevance of environmental factors. The countries in question are South Africa, right here, Botswana, Tanzania, and Kenya. South Africa is bordered in the west by the Atlantic Ocean and in the east by the Indian Ocean. It's said that the two oceans never mix. Then as you go up north, you go through Botswana, Zimbabwe, Zambia before you get to Tanzania, and then Kenya. Kenya, Ethiopia, Tanzania are often referred to as East Africa, while South Africa, Botswana, Zimbabwe are usually called South Africa. The selected region runs from South Africa in the south to Kenya in East Africa. South Africa is the southmost country in Africa and is flanked by the Atlantic Ocean in the west and the Indian Ocean in the east. Lesotho and Eswatini are small independent states inside South Africa. South Africa is bordered in the north by Namibia, Botswana, Zimbabwe, and Mozambique. Other countries within the region include Tanzania and Kenya, which we will be discussing. By population, South Africa is about 58.5 million people, Tanzania 58 million, Kenya 52.5 million, Botswana 2.3 million. South Africa is the fifth largest African country, Tanzania is sixth, and Kenya is seventh. Nigeria in West Africa is the largest African country with a population of 200 million people. Ethiopia, Egypt, and the Democratic Republic of Congo come second, third, and fourth in that order. Kenya is currently our 98th largest goods trading partner with 1.0 billion in total two-way goods trade during 2018. Goods exports total 365 million. Goods imports total 644 million. The U.S. goods trade deficit with Kenya was 279 million in 2018. Tanzania is currently our 126th largest goods trading partner with 432 million in total two-way goods trade during 2018. Goods exports totaled 335 million. Goods imports totaled 97 million. The U.S. goods trade surplus with Tanzania was 238 million in 2018. This is, by the way, one of the only countries among the four countries that we have a trade surplus with. We have a trade deficit with the other countries. Botswana is currently our 116th largest goods trading partner with 543 million in total two-way goods trade during 2018. Goods exports total 82 million. Goods imports total 461 million. The U.S. goods trade deficit with Botswana was 379 million in 2016. U.S. goods and services trade with South Africa totaled an estimated 18.9 billion in 2018. Exports were 8.4 billion. Imports were 10.5 billion. U.S. goods and services trade deficit with South Africa was 2.1 billion in 2018. South Africa is currently our 38th largest goods trading partner with 14.0 billion in total two-way goods trade during 2018. Goods exports totaled 5.5 billion. Goods imports totaled 8.5 billion. The U.S. goods trade deficit with South Africa was 3.0 billion in 2018. Trade and services with South Africa, that's exports and imports, totaled an estimated 4.9 billion in 2018. Services exports were 2.9 billion. Services imports were 2.0 billion. So the US has a trade surplus with South Africa in terms of services. This is our trade deficit with South Africa would have been much larger if it wasn't for the services where we have a surplus. So looking at each of those countries, their major exports are for South Africa, gold and diamond, Tanzania, gems, precious metals, Kenya, horticultural products including flowers and tea, Botswana exports precious metals and electrical. For the major imports, South Africa imports crude petroleum oil and refined petroleum oil. It will be the only country among these ones that imports crude oil because it has refineries. The other countries don't have refineries, so they always import refined petroleum. Tanzania imports refined petroleum and packaged medicaments. Kenya imports refined petroleum and palm oil. Botswana imports precious stones and metals. Interestingly, they export both precious stones and metals and import them, kind of indicating that they act as a transshipment area or a place where they buy precious metal from neighboring countries and process it for further sales overseas. Now, looking at the economic environment of the countries, I look in particular on the GDP per capita. South Africa has GDP per capita of 6,377, Tanzania 1,134, Kenya 1,857, and Botswana 8,137. In terms of ranking, Botswana is ranked 76 in the world, South Africa 86, Kenya 143, and Tanzania 158. Botswana has the largest population of has the least population of the four countries, but has the highest GDP per capita. South Africa's GDP per capita is about 3/4 that of Kenya and about 6/4 that of Tanzania. This indicates that Botswana and South Africa have the most purchasing power of these countries. Botswana and South Africa has the most infrastructure of the four countries and are usually the entry point for the multinationals that want to do business in Africa. In terms of language, all four countries speak English, but in addition to English, South Africa speaks African, Zulu, Xhosa, Tanzania speaks Swahili, Kenya speaks Swahili, and Botswana speaks Tswana. In terms of religion, all of them have the Christian influence, with in South Africa, Christianity, Islam, Hinduism, traditional African religion are practiced. 1/3 of Tanzanians are Christians, another third are Muslim, the remaining third pursue one of the numerous indigenous religions. In Kenya, approximately 70% of Kenyans are Christians, with 38% Protestants, 28% Catholic, about 25% adherents of indigenous religions. 6% are Muslims, and among the Asian community there are Hindus, Sikhs, Parsis, and Bahas. Yes, there's quite a good number of Indians in Kenya and initially also in Uganda, but during the Idi Amin regime he drove away most of the Asians. Botswana is officially said to be a Christian country, although the number of practicing Christians is estimated at only about 20% of the population. Many people still maintain dual religious practices between Christianity and traditional religious worship in Botswana. Looking at the political environment of the countries, all of them are okay. South Africa has parliamentary representative democracy. Tanzania has a unitary presidential democratic republic, meaning the president acts as both the prime minister and the president. Kenya has a presidential representative democratic republic, and Botswana has a presidential representative democratic republic. All four have multi-system government. South Africa has a mixed legal system. Its doctrines and concepts are influenced both by the civilian tradition in an uncodified Romano-Dutch form brought by the early Dutch settlers and by the common law tradition introduced during the British colonial period, and that is the same case with Botswana. Tanzania and Kenya, on the other hand, have the English legal system similar to what we have in the US here, because they were former British colonies. Looking at the financial environment of the countries, South Africa is the most financially stable. They use the South African rand. Tanzania uses Tanzania shillings, and Kenya uses the Kenya shillings. Botswana uses the pula. South Africa's financial services sector are backed by a sound regulatory and legal framework. It is sophisticated, boasting dozens of domestic and foreign institutions providing a range of services from commercial, retail, merchant banking, mortgage lending, insurance, and investment. Tanzania's economic freedom score is 60.2, making it the 94th place in the 2019 index. Kenya has made a lot of improvement in infrastructure, so it's growing economically, and Botswana has the fastest growing economy within the region, growing at about 5% a year. Looking at the nature of infrastructure, South Africa has a modern and well-developed transport infrastructure. The air and rail networks are the largest on the continent, and the roads are in good condition. The transport sector has been highlighted by the government as a key contributor to South Africa's competitiveness in global markets. Tanzania has very poor infrastructure. Out of its 88,000 kilometers of roads, only about 3,700 are paved. The other ones are just unpaved roads. Kenya has very low, they're kind of low on infrastructure. Botswana has a lot of infrastructure. The wealth generated from diamond mining has contributed significantly to an increase in the standard of living in the country, and services and infrastructure in Botswana have vastly improved as well. Botswana's roads are maintained by the local and central government. So in summary, Kenya is East Africa's largest economy, and it is the port of entry to most East African markets by multinationals. Its location on the Indian Ocean gives it some advantage. South Africa is South Africa's largest economy. It has the advantage of the two oceans and a lot of infrastructure. Botswana has the largest GDP per capita in the region, so they are the country that are capable of affording a lot of luxurious items. Tanzania is the poorest of the four selected countries. Economic opportunities for multinationals abound as well. However, non-profit organizations do better in that country. The South African countries are rich in minerals. These countries are still viable destinations for multinationals. And that's my presentation within the given time. Thank you.